Good morning, everyone. Let's try to ignore the fact that my office behind me is an incredible mess and work on this rough draft. So, by now, you should all have written 5 paragraphs for your personal narrative or more. Okay, I say or more because it's kind of a loose requirement. As long as you've done at least 1 paragraph for each section, you're sitting pretty. So let's take a look here at my example. We're gonna go back to it. The example that I wrote with you guys through the last 2 videos with the packet and then transferring it over into the rough draft. So now that I have my 5 paragraphs, I'm gonna go ahead and highlight these in red real quick here, so you can see which parts are mine. Just so that it stands out a little bit more. So everything that I'm putting in red right now, this is something that I wrote in addition to this, something that I wrote on this worksheet for the rough draft. Okay, so now that I have, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs of varying lengths. I can go ahead and delete everything that is not my paragraphs. Make sure that you keep your indents in between. We're going to go ahead and keep them spaced out evenly as well. So there's 1 space between each of these paragraphs. And hey presto, I got myself 1 paper. Now I'm just going to go ahead and real quick make this black again so that it's not distracting us. Alright, so now that we have our paper looking a little bit more like a paper, what's the next step? The next step is adding some dialogue. Okay? Now, we all remember that dialogue is when a character speaks. You are going to be graded on whether or not you include dialogue and whether or not you format and punctuate it correctly. So let's talk real quick about a few different places and ways that we can incorporate dialogue. Are you ready? Let's start by looking at where we can't put any dialogue. If dialogue is something that a character says, then that means we can't put dialogue anywhere that there is not a character. Let's take a look at the story and think about the different sections that we did while we were writing it for the first time. We had our introduction setting. That didn't have any characters in it. We had our setting section. That didn't have any characters in it. And then we get to the section where we're supposed to introduce our characters. So that rules out, first of all, these 2 paragraphs and says, there's no way you're going to put any dialogue in these 2 paragraphs because there are no characters to be speaking. So that leaves just these 3 paragraphs, or these 3 sections if you have more than 1 paragraph for them, to try and add your dialogue. Now, let's think about 2 places that we might find a good spot to insert dialogue. Okay? Place number 1, in between paragraphs. So if we're doing right between paragraphs, that would be between paragraph 3 and paragraph 4, or between paragraph 4 and paragraph 5. In other words, in these spaces right here. Okay? So that's 1 place that we could try to insert dialogue. A second place that we can try to insert dialogue is in the middle of a paragraph. So that would leave us with 3 options instead of 2, because that could be somewhere in the middle of this, in the middle of this, or in the middle of this paragraph. Now what we don't want to do is put it at the end. That would not be a good idea. Should probably point that out. So, how do we decide where we're going to put this dialogue at? There's not really any right or wrong answer. It's just going to depend on what is going on in your story and who is around and what they might say. So if you remember my example from the last few videos that I did, I have 2 people there and then myself. So that's 3 people that potentially could say something. The best thing to do is start making a mental list in your head of all the things that each of those people might say. I have myself there, and I'm taking this test to get my license. Something I might have said, it was 10 years ago, like I remember, I might have said, I did it, I passed, or gosh, this is really hard, or gee, I hope I do well. Something my mom might have said. Good luck, honey. Do your best. Rooting for you. Something that the guy behind the counter that gave me the test might have said. Good luck, but with a very unenthusiastic tone, because that's just the kind of guy he was. He might have said things that instructed me, like, go over there to booth number 1. So what I want you to do right now, stop this video for a minute and think to yourself, what are some things that my characters in this story might have said during this experience in my life? Did you think of some? All right, now we need to read through what we have and decide where's a good point that we might stick some of those in. So let's flip back over to our story here. And since I know that these 2 paragraphs aren't going to have any potential opportunities no matter how hard we look, I'm just going to focus on these 3 paragraphs. And I'm looking in those places that I showed you before, either right between them or somewhere in the middle of them. Okay? So, I'm just going to read this and see if I can come up with any spot that might lend itself to somebody saying something. My mom was there with me. She had curly black hair and smiled at me with a look that showed how proud she was that her youngest son was about to take a permit test. I was thinking earlier how my mom might have said, good luck. So maybe that's one possible thing that I could put in there. Good luck. I'm just going to put that down just to kind of remind myself. After she hugged me, I went up to the man behind the counter and told him why I was there. Ooh, that's another good opportunity for dialogue. I told him why I was there. I'm here to take the test. He explained to me what I had to do to pass. There were 40 questions, and the test was done on a touchscreen computer. This could also be something that he says instead of just explaining what he said to me. Unlike my mom, he didn't smile at me the entire time he was speaking. He showed me what to do, then went back behind the counter to read a book. What's something that somebody might have said at this point? I can't think of anything. So I'm going to keep moving on and look for other opportunities to find places to put dialogue. When I started the test, I was very timid. I pressed the buttons for my answers slowly, and I was pretty sure I got every single one of them wrong, but I kept trying. As I took the test, I thought about how nice it would be not to have to rely on my family to drive me anymore. I was ready to be independent. When I answered the final question on the test, it stopped me and showed a big window that said to go see the instructor. I had passed, because I had passed. From that moment on, I knew that I was no longer a little kid who had to be driven places. I was really proud of myself for being the first one in my friend group to get my permit, and I couldn't wait to start driving on my own. After this paragraph, what's something that might have been said? I was thinking earlier about how my mom might say, good job. I thought earlier about how I might have said, I did it. Those are several options that I could put in between those paragraphs. Let me check, just for the sake of thoroughness, this last paragraph and see if there's anywhere that might lend itself to putting dialogue in. That day changed me forever. I saw myself as an independent person from then on out. I learned to always try my hardest, even when I was a little nervous. After the test, my mom and I went to A&W to celebrate with root beer floats. Right here might be an even better opportunity for my mom to say, "Good job." Then it was off to the BMV to get my picture taken for my license. I gloated to my friends about how I passed the test, and the best part was I did it on my own ability. So, now I have with me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 places that I looked through and I found this might be a good spot to put some dialogue. I only need to do 1. But for the sake of showing it to you multiple times, I think I'm going to do 3. Okay? For you guys, you only have to do 1, but I'm going to do 3 just so that we can kind of nail in the point of how to do it. First one I think I like the best is this one right here. I did it. So I'm going to delete this other one, this good job. I'm going to make that go away. And I'm going to focus on this I did it. So in the story now I say I was really proud of myself. I got first one in my friend group to get the permit, and I couldn't wait to start driving on my own. And then I walk away from the test. Whoever I'm speaking to, maybe my mom, maybe myself, I'm saying, "I did it, I passed, this is great." So this, "I did it," is the dialogue. This is what's being said. I did it. I'm going to put it into lowercase now because that's the way that a normal sentence is written. I'm going to indent because this is a new paragraph, so it needs to be indented. And then since this is dialogue, what do I have to surround it with? If you just said quotation marks, you were correct. You need to surround it with quotation marks. But am I done? Not quite. I need to put a tag. Remember, a tag is the part of the dialogue that tells you who is saying this sentence. So, since I'm the one speaking, I can just simply do "I said." Now, if you remember your rules, "I said" is my tag, "I did it" is my dialogue. There needs to be something separating the two. And that thing is if you just said a comma, you are correct. Microsoft Word was even alerting it to me. Did you see that blue underline? So I have "I said, comma, I did it." There it is. That's all that you have to do to get full credit is the one line. But we're not going to settle for the minimum amount of effort, are we? Let's do 2 more of these and see just how many different ways we can throw in dialogue. My next favorite one of these ideas that I found here was "good luck." So that's something my mom definitely would have said. So I'm going to get rid of this idea here. I'm here to take the test and just focus on this "good luck" one. So let's read the context, make sure we know what's going on. It says, "My mom was there with me. She had curly black hair and smiled at me with a look that showed how proud she was that her youngest son was about to take the permit test." So in order to do something like this, where it's in the middle of my paragraph, what I need to do is stick it down onto its own line. Now, what was once 1 paragraph has turned into 3 paragraphs. It automatically indented for me because Word is smart. If yours ends up looking like this, then just press Tab and bring it in. I'm going to bring what she said back down into lowercase. And maybe I'll even spice it up. If Mr. Sullivan could spell, he would be in much better places. So this is what my mom is going to say to me: "Is good luck, honey." Right after this, my narration says that she was proud of me. Good luck, honey. Maybe even, I know you can do this. Period again. Now this is my dialogue. This is what she's saying. So what does this have to be surrounded by? You said it. Quotation marks. So I'm going to go ahead and put quotation marks on both sides of this sentence. Notice my period is on the inside of the quotation marks because of our rule of punctuation before quotation. And I'm just looking over to see this is actually kind of small. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bigger. Maybe we can see it a little better. Good luck, honey. I know you can do this. Period. Quotation mark. End of the sentence. Now, I can do this in either standard order and have my mom said, or I can do it in reverse order and say, said my mom. Which one do I want to do? There's no right answer. It's just whatever feels right to you. I think I'm going to do this one in reverse order. So I'm going to have, good luck, honey. I know you can do this, said my mom. Put a period at the end of this sentence because that's just proper grammar. And then let's look right here in between this and said. Now, when we separate our tag, which is this part where it says said my mom, and the dialogue, which is what she's saying, we need to put a comma in between them instead of a period. And Word has ever so kindly auto-corrected this said to be capital, but I don't want that anymore, so I'm going to make it lowercase. So now I have punctuation, good luck, honey, I know you can do this, comma, quotation mark, said my mom. Dialogue, separated with a comma, surrounded by quotation marks, tag, ending punctuation. And it's all on its own line. Now I'm going to do one more example. Let's take a look down here at the last paragraph where my mom is saying, good job to me. After the test, my mom and I went to celebrate with A&W root beer floats. And then I'm going to have my mom say, good job to me. Now, once again, I want to take what she's going to say, put it on its own line. Indent, and then put it down into lowercase. Is there anything more that you can think that she might have said other than good job? Maybe I'm proud of you, or I knew you could do it. There are all sorts of things that my mom could have said. I actually think that I knew you could do it sounds a little better than good job. That's just something my mom definitely would have said. So if this is what I want my mom to say, what's the first thing I need to do to this? That's right, surround it with quotation marks. Now what do I need to do? You're right, I need to add a tag. So, if my mom's speaking, I'm going to choose from either my mom said or said my mom at the end. I did my mom said, or said my mom in the last one, so this time I think I'll do my mom said. My mom said is already properly capitalized. It's already got the correct word. We just need to separate this tag from this dialogue using what punctuation mark? That's right, a quotation, a comma. A comma. Very easy stuff. So we've got my mom said, that's my tag, punctuation before quotation. I knew you could do it. Punctuation before quotation, formatted properly, correctly, and you might see that I now no longer have just 5 paragraphs. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different paragraphs. That means 10 different indentations. And look at this. The program didn't automatically indent this paragraph, so I'm going to go in and just check that. Now the only thing left to do is check over our work. I'm going to read through what I have again and make sure it sounds right. I think that sounds pretty darn good. If you want to try making yours sound even better, try looking at the word said and thinking of any other words that we can use. So when I'm saying I did it, instead of just saying it calmly, I might have shouted it. I shouted, I did it! I can even use an exclamation point to make it look even better. Down here also has the word said. If I want to spice it up and make it look even better, I can try thinking of other words that can be used here. Exclaimed, proclaimed, praised. That's a good one. You know what I like is the word declare. My mom declared, I knew you could do it. Now we're thinking like a writer. All right, kids, this is been 3 examples of how to add dialogue into your rough draft. We talked about where we don't want to put it, which is anywhere that there's not a character. So in the first 2 paragraphs. We talked about the 2 places that we can put it. Do you remember them? In between a paragraph, in between 2 paragraphs, or in the middle of a paragraph. When we do in the middle of a paragraph, you just kind of have to read it and decide, is somebody speaking? Is somebody about to speak? What might they say? And if we do something in between paragraphs, we just have to think of the same thing. What might somebody say at this point? I think that putting it in between 2 paragraphs is going to be the easiest thing for most of you. Now, if you're reading what you have and you decide, this is a fantastic place to put something for somebody to speak, then you just have to think, what would they say? Put it in the middle, split it off, put it into its own line, and then make sure that it is formatted properly. And do your best. Come see me if you have questions. Bye-bye.